And yes, I'm from Mantle. I am part of the business development team. So there are a few things that I do mainly. So one of it, we call it the upper funnel. So I have early conversations with projects, with teams to see how we can support them. And then we pass it over to our different verticals. So we've got multiple verticals in the space. What Mantle is. So Mantle, we are a layer 2. We're a scaling solution for Ethereum. And we are built on top of Ethereum. And what we do is we leverage a optimistic rollup. So we use optimistic rollup technology, and we use it to secure lock transactions off-chain before settling them on-chain. Yeah. So essentially, what we want to do, which eventually will launch in very, very soon, we will have everything translated into Spanish, because we realized that overall, all over the world, yes, English is the #1 language in the world, but Spanish and Mandarin is considered the second biggest language in the world. But Spanish covers a lot more countries. Crypto is a use case. You can remit funds over to different countries so easily. You just need a wallet address. I met some people from different teams in the space, and she was telling me she's from Mexico. The sister lives in Panama, and she just transfer money over to Panama on Ethereum. I'm like, super expensive, but makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. And then it's just easy. In a matter of seconds, you don't have to open a bank account. You just have to go click an app, MetaMask, Rabi, whatever, OKX wallet, Binance Web3 wallet. Just click, sign up. You get a seed phrase, you get a wallet. In a matter of a minute, everything's set up. Everybody can transfer funds easy in and out.
Hola, gente de Espacio Cripto. El día de hoy estamos con Ben de Mantle, Business Developer, y pues va a estar muy buena esta plática del día de hoy porque ya trajimos a gente a Espacio Cripto Talks a hablar de marketing, y el día de hoy vamos a traer sobre un tema muy interesante que es el crecimiento del negocio, del protocolo, en este caso la chain de Mantle, y pues vamos a darle a fondo. How are you doing today, Ben?
Hey, thanks so much, Lago. Hi, my name is Ben. I am from Mantle. Buenos dias. En español no bueno, but I'm trying to learn. But very happy to be here today. Actually, I'm calling in directly from Mexico. I'll be here for the rest of the year. Very excited to be here. And yes, I'm from Mantle. I am part of the business development team. So there are a few things that I do mainly. So one of it, we call it the upper funnel. So I have early conversations with projects, with teams to see how we can support them. And then we pass it over to our different verticals. So we've got multiple verticals in the space. We've got DeFi, NFT/social/consumer, gaming, infra, PayFi is new, and one more. I think I'm forgetting something. But just along that line where the whole space is. And essentially I have early conversations with the teams and to see how we can support them, and then the vertical leads will have conversations, and then we create relationship with them. And then on top of that, I'm currently here in Mexico or in the Latam region because we are also looking to expand into the Latam. Into the Latam region. We're calling it Mantle Latam. And essentially what we're looking for is founders in this region and in this space where emerging markets make sense, like places like Buenos Aires, Venezuela, Brazil, Colombia, and all these 30 over countries in the Caribbean and in Latam as a whole. So the main idea is to build a developer community in this region and eventually have somebody represent Mantle in the Latam region. I'm just here to do some research, and we are launching something really soon to get everybody involved. And the idea is you will see me and our team. There'll be probably 3 to 4 of us all over Latam in a couple of months, maybe. And you will be updated on what's going on and what we want to do and how we want to get people in this region involved.
Okay, nice. I will be happy to fly into Mexico City so I can be with you guys. I'm sensing that like 80-90% of your time you're focusing on the development side, like to
Yes.
bring developers to Mantle ecosystem.
Yes.
How you make that balance between speaking with all these developers and make sure that the vision of Mantle on bringing a lot of retail users it's on point?
Yeah. So the good thing about Mantle, I guess, is to give you a bit of context on what Mantle. what
Yeah, sure.
Mantle is. So Mantle, we are a layer two. We're a scaling solution for Ethereum, and we are built on top of Ethereum. And what we do is we leverage a optimistic rollup. So we use optimistic rollup technology, and we use it to secure lock transactions off chain before settling them on chain. And that helps us lower transaction fee and high throughput throughout the whole of compared to Ethereum. And essentially, as a layer two, the layer two space is very, very competitive. Uh, but what we do, or what we're trying to do in the space, is we have multiple projects that we speak to, and it's going to be, what we want to create is a ecosystem where it's fun, where it strives, where there's good liquidity, there are real users. Um, each of our team members come from very good backgrounds. Our DeFi people have been part of VCs, they've been part of projects, so they've been very heavily involved in DeFi. One of our NFT team or consumer team, he's very consumer product focused. Our infra person, he knows infra in and out. He can talk about all the EIPs, he can talk about all the scaling stuff, your risk zero, your all these different kind of infrastructure, ZK rollups, optimistic rollups. And then the gaming person, our gaming lead, is actually he came from the Web2 gaming industry. So he's published a bunch of games, and he knows the whole gaming space very, very well. So essentially, and then our PayFi team is some team members from Fireblocks previously, where there was Fireblocks is one of those paying solutions, or custody solutions for big players. So our team is very stacked in that space, and our team members are all over the world, parts of Europe, parts of Asia, parts of America. But essentially, what we want to do overall is we really want to make it an ecosystem where it strives. And we're not looking at the next 2-3 years. We're looking at the next 5 to 10 years, maybe even 20 years. So we're trying to be very long lasting. We have a treasury of about $2 billion now, and it's one of the top treasuries in the space. And what we do is we want to look for the founders. We want to help teams grow from 0 to 1, 1 to 100, and really just help them understand that this space makes sense. So Mantle Latam makes a lot of sense because we see a lot of payment infrastructure coming up. Payment infrastructure like El Dorado in Buenos Aires, or ChipiPay in Mexico City, or in Mexico per se, and Bando, right? Bando is also off and on ramp, right? So these are kind of the products that we look at, and the idea of Mantle Latam, or Latam as a whole, is not to come in here and look for the next 10x, 100x. It's more of to come into this region and look at it like, okay, Web3 as a use case, Web3 solutions as a use case makes a lot of sense. Our team was in Crecimiento in Buenos Aires, and we realized like, hey, there were 400 founders there, and that was really interesting to us. Like, there's the whole hyperinflation thing going on in Argentina, and it's sad to see, but with stable coins are so big over there. Your abuelos, your abuelas, they all have it. They all have a Binance account. They all have some sort of exchange account just to hold stable coins. And the whole idea of it is to really be one of the chains, or to be hopefully the top chain, where we can get retail people to use it as a way to settle their funds, or to hold it on your cold wallet on Mantle, or your hot wallet on Mantle. But essentially, it's really to just grow the industry as a whole. Even if we're not the top, but at least we have some sort of market share here and mind share here, where people know what Mantle is. We have very strong presence in Asia, in parts of Europe, even some parts of the US. People know about us, and because currently we are top 4 in TVL in the industry for layer 2s. So that's one thing that we're really good at. But what else can we do to scale? So Mantle, we've never really explored Latam as a region yet until recently. So maybe in the past 4 to 5 months, we've been doing research. I came over to get my boots on the ground, to go to Mexico. I spent about 2 weeks in Mexico City, just trying to meet all the builders, reaching out to people on Twitter. I reached out to Espacio Cripto on Twitter. I reached out to different people. So what else can we do to see Mantle grow, and also the industry grow, and how can we help founders and look for the founders in this region as a whole?
I like it. An ecosystem of building, and I like the you didn't talk about the architecture of Mantle that much. Well, you said it's an optimistic roll up. You guys are the first ones with EigenDA, so you're more like
Mm.
a modular ecosystem.
Yes.
But I like that you're seeing that value of building in Latam, because we don't use this technology because we just like it. We use
Yeah.
it because we need them. We need it,
Yeah.
and we see it with payments, stable coins, even CK.
Mm.
So I really like that you see that vision on us. So you see like improving the building here in Latin America. Like here are the tools, here are some hackathons, here's the documentation, and after that, what? Like what do you expect like in next 3-5 years?
Yeah. So essentially, what we want to do, which eventually will launch in very, very soon, we will have everything translated into Spanish, because we realized that overall, all over the world, yes, English is the number one language in the world, but Spanish and Mandarin is considered the second biggest language in the world. But Spanish covers a lot more countries. Mandarin, so for China, China is big, but Spanish is all over Latam. From maybe only Brazil doesn't speak Spanish, but from my understanding when I was there last year, they understand Spanish, and the Caribbean people understand Spanish. You go to Spain, they understand Spanish. So there's a lot of people all over the region and the world who understand Spanish. And we want to make it very easy for developers or builders or founders to come in and be like, okay, Mental has given us the resources, because from my understanding and my research, there hasn't been enough resources given to the people here yet, which is fine, but it's something that we all have to talk about. And essentially, we are working on translating everything. We have a Mental Latam website, Mental Latam Twitter, content in Spanish, documentation, everything in Spanish. So it's easy for builders to come in, look at the documentation and say, okay, this is how I build on Mental. This is what I can do to build my product on Mental. This is the kind of support we can give you. Uh, and anything to do with Latam would just have a conversation with me first, because I'm here at the moment. And eventually, when we get somebody to represent Latam, then they will be the person. Uh, Essentially, what we want to do is to be able to create a holistic ecosystem in this region where builders know, okay, if I want to build on Mental, I can easily be connected to the team. I easily have a conversation with them, and this is how I can grow, and this is how they can support us. Maybe with a grant, maybe with a funding. We will host some hackathons or buildathons. But hackathon and buildathons, the retention is not there fully. The idea is to get it there, get builders to build. And then after the hackathon, what's next? After buildathon, what's next? So we'll come in, have a conversation with them, maybe with the winners, maybe even with the team that didn't win. If they're still really interested, then we can say, how can we support you? What we are looking for is eventually to find founders from this region that can build a global product, because there are a lot of founders in places like Singapore, the US, India, Dubai, Germany, Netherlands. They all have so many founders who build global products. But some of these global products might not be used in Latam. What my vision is, or what our vision is, we have a team that builds products for region of Latam, which eventually becomes a global product. So it makes a lot of sense. There will be a Spanish version of the product. You can go onto the front end, click Espanol, can click English. So those who don't speak English, they can use it in Spanish. Those who understand English, then you can also use it in English. So there are multiple ways that people can see it becomes a global product. And the whole idea is to really be supportive of founders in this region and really be excited to see how people can really grow, start from 0 to 1, 1 to 100, using maybe their Web2 products, and they want to use Web3 as a solution. So all these kind of things make sense in these places like emerging markets, especially in Latam.
Nice. Actually, one thing that you said about the hackathons, recently I've been talking with a lot of teams that focus on hackathons. They say that the retention to keep builders on the chain or the protocol, it's very low. So
Yep.
it's kind of interesting to see, what actually works, like probably like success stories that people need to inspire, like, oh, if they made that protocol, maybe I can make
Yep.
something. Or what do you think it
Yep.
is?
Yeah. So on the hackathon side, we do hackathons all over the globe. We had hackathon in Prague, we had hackathon in eGlobal in Sydney, um, and then now we have DevCon coming up. But DevCon, what we did is we call it Buildathon. So Buildathon is a longer program. I think it's 8 to 10 weeks program, and it's a very big pool price. So it's a pool price of about 150K. It's our first Buildathon, so uh, longer program, and then there'll be a demo day, and we've got judges from other parts of the industry like Eigenlayer. We've got also Ivan from Comma Tree. So Eigenlayer, we've got Nadir. We've got Ivan, if I'm not mistaken, from Comma Tree. So he's a VC partner. And then we have another lady, I forgot her name, but she's also one of the top leaders there. And then we have our own team who will be there. So we want to help teams grow from zero to like really just build on mental, and then give them potential pool price. Hackathon, because hackathon happens, 3 days, right? You build a product from 0 to 1 in 3 days. But then you might not want to work on the product full time. Eventually, from the hackathon, we will push it into maybe an accelerator. And then from the accelerator, it'll be a 12 weeks program. And then potentially at the end of the program, we give you a funding, or we connect you to other VC partners in the space, and then potentially get a funding, and you get to build continuously on mental. And then there's some sort of retention there. And the idea of retention, or what kind of support we can give, because in the end, these people are startup founders, these people are new founders, maybe they're old founders, maybe they founded products before, but they need some sort of support. And maybe with us, what we can promise is we are alert. I'm constantly online, and Telegram, I'm just on my phone all the time. So if anybody wants to reach out, always glad to have a conversation, always glad to see how we can support you. Meeting different
By
teams.
support, you mean what? What exactly?
Yeah.
Like
So what kind
technical
of support we can give?
problems,
We can give technical
distribution?
support. We can give grants, so we can do a grant, potential liquidity provision. All this is not promised, but we can offer it. Marketing support, definitely doable. And what else can we do? Maybe advisory. Sit down with you and say, hey, this is what a global product looks like, and this is what you can do to expand the global product. And then you can also sit down with us and tell us this is what a Latam product looks like. So we know, like, okay, this is what Latam people look for. Because if we're looking for, let's say you're looking for stable coins, so you're looking for certain kind of stable coin, what is in our ecosystem that we can help you there? Who else can we work with within the ecosystem that we can connect you between the two different teams? So you have different ways. And then, for example, let's say with art, so let's say there's an art project, and we can work with an art project. How can we get them to build on mental? You know the Latam artists. We don't know any Latam artists. There is probably no one in mental that is from Latam. From my understanding, there's one person in Puerto Rico, but it's American. But we don't have anyone who represents Latam. So eventually, the idea is to have somebody who knows everybody, or who can be easily connected, and be able to say that, hey, this is what Latam looks for. This is what the support needs. That is why I'm here now. So I've been here since early October, and I'll be here all the way up until early next year. So just being boots on the ground and being able to understand, hey, this is what people in Latam look for. This is what people in Mexico look for. This is what people in Buenos Aires look for. This is what people in Colombia look for. Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, right? Bolivia, whatever, Chile, Peru, and all this, Guatemala, Central America. There's so many countries. If I mention all of it, it's going to take me like half an hour. But it's such a big region, right? It's a continent on its own, and not everybody speaks English, but everybody speaks Spanish. So if we have somebody who is here just to understand a bit, okay, what's going on in the space, what are people looking for, how does stablecoin work in different countries, how does crypto work in different countries, what are taxes like, what's the off-ramp on-ramp method like, how can we help people adopt Web3 or crypto as a use case in this region easier. The goal eventually is for every abuela, every abuelo, everyone to have some sort of stablecoin in their wallets, just to be able to hold a stronger currency if their currency is not great. Mexico might be different because there's a super peso at one point, but now overall, other parts of the region makes a lot of sense. Mexico also makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, actually, Mexico. Well, right now the super peso has been like being
Yeah,
going down a little bit, and actually we have presidential elections recently,
yeah,
and one uh, one woman, and my dad was this is like a personal story. I'm not taking
yeah.
sides, but my dad was actually worried about the economy and the future of the peso. And I
Mm,
said like, okay, let's talk about solutions. Maybe you
yeah,
need access to the dollar. And he
yeah,
told me, oh yeah, I should open a bank account on United States. And I'm like,
yeah,
there's the stable coin. Yeah, there's your
yeah,
use case. And my dad was like, oh, now crypto makes sense to him.
yeah.
So I really like
Exactly.
it.
I was. I mean, the one thing really cool is, yeah, crypto is a use case. You can remit funds over to different countries so easily. You just need a wallet address. I met some people from different teams in the space, and she was telling me like, oh, she's from Mexico. The sister lives in Panama, and she just transfer money over to Panama on Ethereum. I'm like, super expensive, but makes sense. Makes a lot of sense, and then it's just easy in a matter of seconds. You don't have to open a bank account. You just have to go click an app, MetaMask, Rabi, whatever, OKX wallet, Binance Web3 wallet. Just click, sign up. You get a seed phrase. You get a wallet. In a matter of a minute, everything's set up. Everybody can transfer funds easy in and out. Um, but I guess the hardest part for people is to understand the off ramp and on ramp. But essentially, the best way is to look for a founder who is trying to fix their solution. And from my conversations with people like yourself, right? Bundle is one of the things that you can do off ramp and on ramp. Uh, and other countries are also like El Dorado has off ramp and on ramp. So what can we do to help people grow and find that off ramp and on ramp method? And because for a person in Latam, $5,000 is a lot of money. Some other countries, not a lot for them, but people in Latam makes a lot of sense because $5,000 could be all their wealth, could be money they've been saving for years. From my understanding, in Argentina, you can only buy $200 worth of pesos every month from the bank. But if you can P2P, you can off ramp on chain and off chain, you can hold so much more and you tackle the hyperinflation.
Yeah, I'm going to ask a question more on the technology side because I see the
Yes.
main differentiator of Mantle, which I like a lot, is that you guys are there. Like if I reach out
Mm,
to you, Ben, on Telegram, you're going to answer me. Maybe you're going to redirect me to
yep.
a better person. Who knows? Technical
Yep.
technical issues, development, marketing. Who knows? You're
Yep.
there for me, and I really like that. And actually, I don't see any change with that. With that kind of support. So I like that.
Yeah. So
On
so we so over in Mental we scale our BD team to quite a good number. So there will always be people able to respond at every sort of hour. Um, and essentially in the end, yeah, the chain works. There are a lot of chains out there, but in the end, it's what kind of support can we give to builders? Because not every builder, from my understanding, borders about the technology, but a lot of builders bother about the support, whether they have been ghosted. We don't want to do that. We try to be, of course, our messages are so busy. There's so many messages coming in all the time. But what we want to do is we want to make it easy for people to understand you can connect to us anytime, uh, whether on Twitter, whether Telegram, right? Maybe emails might not be great. I mean, at least for me, I didn't recheck my emails. But Telegram, Twitter, I'm always there to connect. Within a matter of at most 2 hours, I'll respond to you, uh, unless I'm sleeping, right? But the team is always there to respond, and we just really want to make it a very easy ecosystem where you can be connected to us at all times.
and on the technology side, actually, one thing that I want to celebrate is that you have a community that doesn't feel like. I feel sometimes that there are communities on these chains like it feels like a transactional value, and here is like more
Mm,
organic. So
mm,
I see
yeah,
that on Mantle. Uh, but on the technology side, like okay, I have Solana, I have CK Sync, I have Scroll. can you talk a little bit of why Mantle, why this modular approach makes sense? A little bit technical if you want to, like
Yeah.
just to.
Yeah. So I'm not the most technical person. I mean, I understand the technology good enough. But essentially, sorry, excuse me. So before Mantle, we were a DAO. We were called BitDAO. I mean, now we're still a DAO. We still go through the governance and stuff. But our governance is off-chain, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But essentially, we were a DAO, and during the previous bull market and then we went to the bear market, BitDAO had a good amount of money, and they wanted to build products or they wanted to invest in products. Then we realized, hey, why don't we just build our own product? And then here came Mantle. We were contemplating between L1 or L2. I realized at that time modular was not a big thing yet, and we wanted to be a first modular chain. And essentially, what we did was we wanted it to be a really easy scaling solution for users. So the difference is compared to a lot of other, of our competitors out there, our tokens were converted from bit tokens to Mantle tokens from day one. So there wasn't a airdrop campaign where people come in and speculate, is there going to be an airdrop? It was already definitely public that we said your bit tokens will be converted into Mantle tokens. So our TVL was, we were not the new shiny thing. We were a shiny thing, but we were not new, right? And there wasn't speculation on that front. So we realized it's okay. We do it slowly. We take a slow upgrind approach. And we wanted to grow from 0 to 100 and be sustainable. Not everybody rotates. Even I rotate my funds here and there. But essentially, where would I want to hold majority of my portfolio if I'm not doing anything? I want to earn some safe yield, some very sustainable yield. So I'll go to Mantle. We had our own LST liquid staking product coming out called ME, and that took off pretty well as well. We had the funds to experiment with that. So we experimented with that, and that did really, really well for us. We grew really well. Our TVL grew because of that. And essentially, the whole LST and LRT space is quite new, but we realized, okay, this is a market share we like to be part of. LST has been around for a bit since, Lido, since Rocket Pool. And we said, okay, we want to be part of the market share. We don't have to be the first, but at least we have some sort of market share in that space. So those are the things that we do to, for the technology and stuff. Modular was the first thing that we're looking for, and it's got to be fast. It's got to be fast finality, easy for people to settle. Doesn't get stuck, right? Everything
Mantle
very
is really
smooth.
fast, actually. Like I really
Yeah.
like the thing,
So
the experience here.
yeah, so we want to produce blocks very well, and overall just make it a very, very sustainable chain in terms of timing and funds. And the other good thing is we're fully vested, so every token is out there already. There's no more vesting schedule. Everything's vested. Everything converted 1-to-1. And we always come up with campaigns for incentives for users and product.
Yeah, that was a really good play because right now, like all these high FDV
Yeah,
tokens
low
for the
float.
chain, like
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot of high FDV, low float FUD here and there. So the good play for us is, I think, we're the only L2 that's fully vested.
Yeah, and also I really like the play with. I'm not sure if it was like a partnership with Eigenlayer, but with the liquid staking, it
Yep.
makes sense. And I think
Yep.
yesterday you guys released a Cook token.
Yes. So we actually 4 a.m. in Mexico
Yeah.
time. I was awake because that was the TG happening. And yeah, so TG happened, and Cook will be used for governance token for what we call math protocol, and that will be the main governance token just for the LST and the LRT. We have our LST ME, and then our LRT called CME. That will be launched probably in the next few days, if I'm not mistaken, or in a week. Somewhere along that timeline, and essentially it'll be used as a product across multiple chains, with chain agnostics when it comes to LST and LRT. But of course, we would like it to be on Mantle. So we will have campaigns coming up. We have incentives coming up. We have products, partners that we're working with, and Eigenlayer and ourselves are very close, even with all the other LST, LRT products. Eigenlayer, Symbiotic, Karak, can't remember who else that this falls under, another product manager and team member. But these are the people that we work very closely with and partner with, just to grow the product or just grow the industry as a whole.
Nice. I have only two questions left. One is coming back to Latin America. What is the one thing that you are most excited about into Mantle's expansion?
Yeah. So this whole Latin America project has been happening behind the scenes for a bit. Only recently we became a bit more louder, and because I'm here, right? I'm in Mexico, and then after this, I'm going to Buenos Aires, move around a little bit just to meet the builders and just understand what are people building. And one of the things that I saw was like Chippy Pay that really caught my attention. I'm like, wow, you can pay for your water bill, your Amazon, Netflix, whatever you want, electric bill and stuff like that with crypto. Like I wish I could do that anywhere else, or even your hotels and stuff like that. Of course, there are apps that you can do it, but GPay is an app, just one page, everything is there. Makes it very easy. So and then there was a project called Pinta in Buenos Aires where you can buy a pint of beer with tokens in multiple merchants and stuff like that. So these are such cool products, and I think this essentially being here and finally seeing builders in this region and them saying like finally someone wants to put in a lot more effort into the space. We didn't want to go through the approach of just get a KOL, get a Twitter set up, and then that's it. It doesn't really help. Like, where are the builders? We want the builders. The builders does not need to build a product that is a valuation of even 10 million, 100 million, doesn't matter. But we just want people to build. We're looking for the builders, we're looking for developers. How can we help you start your journey? If your Web 2 to Web 3 journey, if your Web 3 journey has started already, come and build with us. We'll support you as much as we can. And essentially, there will be multiple programs that are coming up next year that we focus on, the Latam region, and how do we look for the builders? How do we help them, eventually help them raise some funds as well, and just be able to call themselves a successful hub of crypto builders or Web3 builders.
Nice. I want to make a quick shout out to Chippy Pay. Un saludo a la raza de allá. Felicidades, impresionados los de Mantle. And one last question, Ben. If you have the opportunity to sit down with Satoshi Nakamoto and ask him one question, what would you ask him?
Good question. Maybe Satoshi is not one person. Maybe Satoshi is multiple people. There's a lot of speculation, right? But if I could sit down with him, I would ask him what was his thought process of creating Bitcoin, or starting a whole industry. Is just one random person that nobody knows out there who started something and now it's $1 trillion industry. There's nobody you can pinpoint to like this is the founder of Bitcoin and stuff like that. But even then, Bitcoin came out, Ethereum came out, Vitalik is another like big brain. It's very interesting to see him speak. I wish we could hear Satoshi speak, even if it's like a dubbed voice or something, but just be able to understand what was their thought process, because they were way ahead of their curve back then. They were already thinking about things so much further ahead. Even Vitalik, right? They've been thinking about it way, 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 way ahead of us. I've only been in space for about 4 or 5 years now, and it still took me some time to grasp, but they created something that is the future. Very interested to just understand their thought process behind it.
Yeah, it's almost like an architect that was able to see the 100 years from
Exactly.
that year. Yeah, it's almost like a miracle, and that's why we have like these culty religion type persons into the whole ecosystem. But
it's
really amazing.
It's a very interesting industry. Once you get in, it's very hard to leave, and you just understand the use case of it, like how to grow wealth. They call it unbank the banks. Power to the people. Data is public, transparency, and stuff like that. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, sure. This was a really nice talk, Ben. Hopefully we will see on December in Ciudad de Mexico, so we can have some tacos and maybe a couple of cervecitas there.
Yeah, very interested, very excited to be part of this region and scaling into this region. Stay tuned. There will be a lot of updates coming up and launches coming up, and how we can get builders involved. We have a lot of plans. For those who are watching, if you know who is Kush from Odisea, we are working closely with him to see what we can do to get builders on board and just grow the region and get crypto as one of the major use cases in the space.
Nice. Eso fue todo el episodio, raza. Espero les haya gustado y pues nos vemos en el siguiente episodio de Espacio Cripto Talks. Nos vemos. Bye.
Vemos. Hasta luego.
Hasta